It's 4 o'clock on a Monday, and you know what that means, don't you? It's time for another exciting episode of TAXITV Live. Yeah, baby. Woohoo! This week, starring special guest stars Tracey and Vance Marino. I have been so conditioned over knowing you for so many years to call you Tracey and Vance versus Vance and Tracey. Does anybody ever call you Vance and Tracey, ever?
They do, but we correct them. You know who it is? It's my family. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
My mom coined the name trance way before trance was a genre.
Oh, that's funny.
Trance or TV. A lot of people call us TV. TNV, TV.
Yeah, I've got you down as TNV somewhere in my notes today. So I want to let the audience know that Tracey and Vance had some connectivities at home. They rushed over to a close relative's house not far away from them, and they are in a room that's highly reverberant. So the audio, I mean, we've done everything we can short of stapling moving blankets to their relative's wall, which I'm sure would thrill them to no end. So it is a little reverberant, and sorry, what can I say? But, you know, Tracey and Vance wrote a really excellent book. Watch this, everybody. Whoa, check that out. Tracey and Vance wrote Hey, That's My Song, which is a very comprehensive book that came out, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years ago. I actually read it cover to cover, and it covers everything you want to know. And there's a particularly good chapter in there about networking in general, and because the road rally is coming up very shortly, in a month, if you can believe it. I want to talk to them today about networking at conferences in general and the road rally specifically, because you know we still have a month to go. So for people who are on the fence thinking, oh man, do I want to fly there from Indiana and walk into a hotel with strangers, people I don't know, and I'm going to feel so uncomfortable, and I'm going to be a dork, and it's just going to be a waste of time and money. Tracey and Vance, what would you say to that person in Indiana?
Okay, I have a quote that I live by. It was on a Trader Joe's greeting card, of all things. I pretty much framed it, have it on my bookcase, and it says, "The day you decide to do it is your lucky day."
Wow, I got that in a fortune cookie once, but it was all written in Mandarin, so I couldn't tell what it said.
Yeah, I probably ripped it off. But it's really true. Decide to do it, then do it, and show up. And you know, that's been our mantra. Just show up.
Yeah.
I don't think I've met anybody that has been to a taxi rally and said, oh man, those people were so mean and there was nobody to talk to. They were just a bunch of boring people that were snobs. I mean, everybody I've ever talked to, obviously we've been going for over 20 years, but other people that show up for a time or two always say, oh yeah, it's a really open community and everybody's really helpful. And we found that to be true.
Yeah, in fact, we've made some lifelong friends. We still get together once a month and we talk shop. We learn about things happening in the industry. We tell each other about certain things they might want to check out. And of course, we meet up at the taxi rally every year and have a blast. So you can't go wrong. It's not cliquey. It can be overwhelming the first time or two you go, because there are literally, let's say, 1,000 to 3,000 golden retrievers that will come at you and mob you if they know it's your first time.
Right. So bring a hand towel to wipe the saliva off the dog's spittle.
I have one at all times. It's really true. And if you,
it's not for the golden retriever though; it's for me.
Yeah. But if you really can't find anyone, just look for us. We look like two palm trees standing in the lobby, and we'll, sit down and tell you all the ropes.
It's true. Tracey and Vance are both very tall, and they do tend to stand a head and shoulder above everybody else, so they're really easy to find. And I didn't read your bio yet, so I'm going to do that, because when you said how many you'd been to, did I plug it in here? Yeah, I did. Okay. So they're both composers, songwriters, musicians, and producers. More than 3,000 songs and cues in their BMI catalog now. They've had thousands of placements in shows, including The Voice, New Girl, The Tonight Show, Saturday Night Live, and many, many more. Their music is heard daily around the world, has been featured in hundreds of reality TV shows, sports events, films, trailers, documentaries, video games, toys, and several national commercials. Tracey is a pianist originally from Boston. Vance is a rock and blues guitarist originally from Oahu, Hawaii. They have 2 Pro Tools studios in San Diego, but their internet at their house sucks. And their book about sync licensing, Hey, That's My Song, which I just showed you the cover. Here, I'm going to do it again just because I can. Look at that, man. High tech. Guide to getting placements in music and film. In film and TV. Film, TV, and media is published by Backbeat Books. Tracey has been a member of Taxi since 1994. The company was 2 years old back then, and they've been to 22 road rallies starting in 2001, and they are the best networkers I've ever seen. They really are. And I thought it was important to have them on the show about a month out so that anybody who is trepidatious should just know, we've been trying to hammer this home, that I have yet to meet anybody who came to the rally and said, oh my God, you lied, or I felt uncomfortable, I felt like a wallflower. Instead, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but an older gentleman who literally came to my office, drove like 2 hours to come to the office. He was an absolute cynic and a pessimist. And I told him, I said, just come to the road rally. You just have to trust me. And he came, and it was really hard for him to walk into that building. And he said within 5 minutes, he felt completely enveloped in, the Taxi Love Fest. It's just like, especially if you're new, people will go, hey man, how you doing? First timer? What kind of music do you do? Where are you from? Oh, really? I've got a cousin there. It's weird they cut their pizza in squares there instead of pie shape, which is true in Illinois, by the way. So it just all falls into place. And after you come to your first one, you won't ever want to miss one after that. So there you go. I have notes. So, oops, I should be on my next page. And by the way, everybody in the chat room, remind me, I am going to give away a copy of their book. And sometimes I've been known to forget. And I feel bad. The last show I did, I was going to tell you guys a story about a Taxi member who blew a golden opportunity. And if you remind me about that 5 minutes before whatever time the show ends, 5:30, I will tell all you guys that story without mentioning the member's name or do anything. Because the member wasn't a dum-dum. The member was green and just didn't know any better. But it was a pretty sad story. Okay, so Tracey and Vance, Hey, That's My Song. What advice do you have in the book, or would you give to somebody who is a bona fide introvert, somebody who's really shy, which, believe it or not, you take a webcam away from me or a microphone at the road rally, I am shy. I go to a party, I don't want to talk to anybody. I will stand in the corner and talk to my wife or anybody who wants to talk about taxi or fishing, and that's about it. So I'm not a good conversationalist. I will always try and not go to something so I don't have to hang out with people. What do you guys know that will help people like me walk into the rally and feel wonderful and meet a lot of people and get benefit?
Well, we're really shy too, and that was the best part about the Taxi rally. I think the first year or two, we literally would hang out by the wall, and we were wallflowers, they call it. It was so scary because I think when you go to an event like that, you feel like you need credits. And of course, we didn't have any credits. We didn't have a studio at the time. We didn't even know what we were really doing. We didn't know what we should be. We were musicians, but we didn't know, hey, should we be doing film and TV composing? We didn't even know that was a thing until we went to the Taxi rally. So yeah, it can be, like I said, a little intimidating the first time or two. But it's perfect for shy people because here's your recipe for success. When you stand in line to register, just ask the person in front and the person behind you, hey, how many taxi rallies have you been to? And they usually say 1, or 24, right? That's your clue. If this is their first one, that can open the door for a conversation. Hey, this is my first taxi rally too. How come you came here? So that opens a conversation. If they've been to 5 or 10 or 22 like us, that opens a conversation too. Like what are some of the benefits? Who should I talk to? Where should I go? What should I do? And you'll get really good advice.
I think one of the concerns people have is, what do I talk to a stranger about? Well, the beauty of the taxi rally is that everybody there loves music. They like listening to it. They like making it. So at the very least, you have at least that in common. You can just say, who's your favorite recording artist? What's your favorite song? And everybody has, I mean, it's either they have one answer or, man, how much time do you have? I mean, we all have a favorite artists and favorite songs.
And we also go here with a goal. We always say, hey, it'd be really cool to talk to this panelist. I was wondering about that. So we usually have a goal. The first year or two, you may want to just hang back and see what it's all about. But when we have a goal of meeting somebody or talking to somebody or introducing someone to somebody, that's usually really successful. We always come back really glad we did that, having a goal before we go there. For instance, we wanted to learn more about how to mix. And so we took Ronan Chris Murphy's class, we took Fed's class, we took all that we could. And then one year we wanted to work on our lyric writing and songwriting. So we took Jai's class, we took a whole bunch of people. Robin's, of course, yeah. And then other times we wanted to learn more about editing, and you had the music editor, and so we made that a point. It really helps us. Now that could change. You might find other classes are more useful for where you are at your stage, but that's a big part of it too.
By the way, you just reminded me, I've actually got the ballroom schedule done this year, earlier than I normally get it done, because inevitably I reach out to panelists, 4 or 5 months before the rally. Can you do this panel with me on Saturday the 9th at 2 o'clock? And they go, oh man, it sounds cool. Can I let you know like a week before? Every one of them, almost to the person, will say that. And I understand everybody's busy and nobody wants to commit to something months in advance. But the truth of the matter is I've got to get stuff to the printer, and I can't expect members to show up and not know what's going on. So I'm going to do a quick rundown. This is just the ballroom. We've also got about, I think, 30 or 35 classes. We've pared down the classes a lot this year. We had people that were doing duplicate classes, a few, not many, but a few that weren't well attended at all on topics that our members just weren't interested in. So we've trimmed the fat this year to make it a little less confusing for people when trying to decide what they want to go see. So in the ballroom, first day is the keynote panel. Will AI-generated music steal your job? That's going to be great. I'm not even going to name all the panelists. It'll take up too much time from what our purpose is today. Next one is how music supervisors pick music for advertising, with a music supervisor who, funny enough, does music for advertising or picks music for advertising. Let's see, does your song work in this film? With a music supervisor, we're running a taxi listing. The forwards are going to the supervisor. The supervisor is going to pick a handful that he thinks would work in a scene or two in the movie that he's currently plugging stuff into. And if the timing and the deadlines all work out well, it's very conceivable that a taxi member song who gets used on the panel could end up in that film. If the timing doesn't work, and we have no control over that, that's obviously the producer, director, and the production schedule. But if it's off by a week or a couple of days or whatever, and the song doesn't end up in this film, the supervisor is going to take the stuff that we have forwarded, the stuff that he likes out of the batch that's forwarded to him, put it in a folder, because he said, I think he's running singer-songwriter or pop singer-songwriter. He said, I can use this stuff in almost every project I work on, so I'll create a file of cool stuff from Taxi Pop Singer-Songwriter, and it'll make it into something else. So we've got you covered both ways there. Friday afternoon, we're doing a film and TV song pitch and feedback panel with some really great people on that. Music will be randomly drawn, stuff will get played, and we give them the option after every song. Any of you need that in your catalog? Any of you need that in the show you're working on? Blah, blah, blah. Saturday morning is instrumental pitch and feedback with a bunch of music library CEOs as our panelists. Followed by Robin Frederick, turn your authentic story into hit songs. My authentic story would probably be more like a Hallmark movie, but I get it. I'm joking. My story would definitely not be a Hallmark movie. I'm doing a panel that we've never, ever done in the 27 previous road rallies called Letting Go of Precious. I was interviewing a very bright Taxi member a week ago named Robina Ritchie Barker, and she said one of the keys to her success in many facets of her life has been learning to let go of precious. People get very precious about the most recent piece of music they've written or about a production idea or a lyric line, and they will mess up the project and their life and their career over not being able to let go of precious. So I've got Rob Shirelli, who's a 5-time Grammy winner, Ron Harris, and Robina. Ron is also a multi-platinum, I don't have the notes in here, but just from memory, a multi-platinum A&R person and producer, and Robina Ritchie Barker, who inspired the panel and is very, very smart, very articulate. So I'm very much looking forward to that one. It's amazing how many people will screw up an entire career over one. It's like, you're going to write another song next week. Get over it. This is fine the way it is. Get it out the door. How to get into Sync's Inner Circle with Jim Thacker, Patty Boss, Greg Carosa, Matt Vanderbo, and John Pearson, all very great Taxi members. We're doing Before They Were Hits again. I did it with Steve Block last year, who's a Music Row publisher, very, very longtime friend of mine, and he brought demos of big famous hit songs so you can hear the stripped down demo version. I am going to reprise the playing of the thing that I did last year, which is the best piano vocal demo I've heard in my 49 and 3/4 year career. And if I get permission from my lawyer, who hasn't gotten back to me yet, I've got a 16-track 2-inch master of a global hit that was found in a dumpster in London. I bought it on eBay 20 years ago, transferred it to digital, and the song was on there. And so I'm able to listen to each of the tracks. So hopefully, if I get permission from the lawyer, that I will be able to like play you just the background vocals or just the lead vocal or just the really crappy drum sound that this amazing engineer got. But when you listen to the drums by themselves, you go, oh my God, how did that guy ever get a job? Let's see, Sunday, turn your old recordings into sync income. I mean, if you look around the room at the road rally, the ballroom, there are a lot of people in there that are over 45, 50 years old. There are a lot of people that are in their 60s. They've got demos that they recorded back in, 1976 or 1981 or 1994. Those things are actually very much in demand now. Even if they're only like a 4-track demo, stuff like that gets licensed. Getting stuff done and quickly with Will Derryberry, Matt Vanderbo, and Robina Ritchie Barker one more time because she is very good at getting stuff done. In the 200-seat theater on the mezzanine level from 1:30 to 3:30 on Sunday. I think this is Sunday. Yeah. Oh no, this is Saturdays. I don't know what the hell day it is. I actually used to really know this is Sunday. Craig Pilo, our head screener here at Taxi, is going to moderate a listening panel that's not for film and TV. This is for people who want to pitch stuff to major label artists who want to get signed by a major label. And we've got Craig Pilo, Chris Long, James Koshin, Ty Knox, Steve Block, and Bobby Reimer, who will also be joining Block and I. Bobby Reimer is another Nashville publisher that's been around the block forever and is really beloved, for lack of any better word. So I'm excited to have him on board. Then one of our heroes, Dean Crepane, from 2:15 to 3:30, is actually doing a thing called How to Write and Produce an Instrumental Cue. We figure for people who are new to Taxi, new to the Road Rally, they don't really have a clue on how to sit down and write an instrumental cue. So Dean's going to show them from start to finish on stage, live, and we hope all the tech works. Always scares the crap out of me. Not Dean himself, just having tech work at the road rally. Then 3:45 to 5 o'clock on Sunday, interpreting taxis listings and industry briefs. One of the biggest problems people have is they look at a brief or they look at taxis listing and they only see what they want to see, which is the stuff that, yeah, I've got that, but they ignore all the other stuff, and then they're bummed out when they don't get signed or they don't get forwarded by taxi. So we've got Greg Carrozza, Bob Meddy, Stephanie Reed, Andrew Jordan, and Tom Stillwagon doing that one. And then last but not least, the Happy Ending Pitch Panel, which always has Michael Lloyd, Rob Shirelli, Pedro Costa, and last year we added Stephanie Reed, who is a music licensing executive. She was awesome, so we're bringing her back this year. So that's just the ballroom, folks. Imagine 2 to 3 times that much stuff going on in the classes on the second floor. So yeah, so going back to networking, and thank you for being patient with me while I just stole 10 minutes of your time. All you have to do is ask anybody. You're right. Is this your first rally? That's the icebreaker. And you guys actually had some really good, I'm looking for my copy of the book. You guys had some great icebreakers. I'm doing this from memory. I think on page 162 of the book or thereabouts. Maybe 163. Oh, no, here you go. Do you guys have a copy of the book? Do you want to talk about it? Or Yep, you're good to go? Okay. So, yeah, talk about the icebreakers. And I would suggest not starting out with what room are you in? That's always a bad one. Or
funny,
if you,
how we met.
That's how we met. Yeah.
if you've been to any of P. Diddy's parties, that'll break the ice.
Yeah. You know what? We met John Brahaney a long time ago. I went to LASS even before.
The LA Songwriter Showcase.
Yeah,
Right.
the showcase. And I met John Brahaney, bought his book, became a huge devotee of his work and his book. And then, you know what? We met him at the taxi rally, got to be pretty good friends. Then we booked a consultation with him saying, what's wrong? And he listens to our music and he said, you're too precious. You're being too precious with your music.
There's that word again, the P word.
And that was in the end of our book, and we kind of wrote a little tribute to him at the end because that really was life-changing. So talk about, meeting the right person at the right time, telling us the thing we had to hear at the right time. And we were being too precious. So I love that you're doing that panel. It's so important not to be, you can't be sloppy, but you can't hold on. And we've heard horror stories of people who lost huge deals because they were waiting for a better deal to come along and their song ended up being dead just sitting in a drawer. So I love that. Yes. So go ahead, talk about conversation starters.
Yeah.
So we start with, is this your first rally? Have you been here before? And if it's their first time, welcome them. But if if they've been there even once before or 20 times before, like some of us, then to me, the next question is, well, what did you like about it? You keep showing up. So why do you keep coming back here? What was a highlight? Did you get any deals from it? Pull out the schedule. Which one of these is a no-miss panel? Who do I have to go and listen to? And there are a bunch of those folks there, certainly, at the rally. We always try to catch Robin Frederick. She's incredible. And Ronan, we always try to catch Ronan for latest mixing tips. But just those types of things, just how to navigate the rally, because there's so much stuff that's going on there. Are there still going to be the drive-by mentorings?
We're debating on that. One of the problems we had at last year's rally, I got some emails from some pretty big industry people that said, by the way, I want to let you know, we, the industry folks, were hanging out in the bar in the, like from 7 o'clock until 11 o'clock, and the bar was almost empty last year. Well, we were doing drive-bys on the second floor. We had the jam room going. We have the open mic going. And we were doing early evening classes last year because we had so many classes that we were trying to cram into the event. So we're cutting back on a lot of stuff because I've got to say, the number one thing that I hear about the rally is I came, I didn't know what to expect. It was my first year, and I'll be damned. I actually met a library owner at the bar, and we exchanged business cards, and here we are 6 months later, and I've done 3 complete albums of music for that library because I took the chance of coming to the road rally and went to the bar. So, yeah, that is, it's not the big takeaway from the rally, but it's certainly a very important one. So
Yeah,
we're
but
trying
it's
to.
one that people don't always know about. So
Yeah.
if somebody was coming for the first time and they wanted to hook up with someone, so we'd say, oh, look, he or she is doing a drive-by at 6 o'clock up in such and such a room. And because there again, there's so much on that schedule to digest. I mean, we definitely recommend and still do ourselves research. You do, I mean, studying of the who's going to be there, when they're going to be speaking. And we go even as far as, let's see if we can find a picture of them. So if they're standing in the bar, we can walk up to them and say, hey, loved your panel. There's a whole conversation we can have about what to say to people, but just knowing who's going to be there, what their names are, what they look like, which library they're with, which company they're with, how they can help you, but how you can help them too. That's the idea.
I think for conversation starters, though, the best thing, of course, is asking about the rally, and then simply, what do you do? Are you a musician, producer? And let the person talk. And hopefully, if they're a good conversationalist, they'll ask you, what do you do? That doesn't always happen. We talk a lot about people who don't understand the art of conversation. They think it's about them doing a monologue and then the other person listening. That is not a conversation. So have a conversation, and that's a back and forth. What do you do? And then wait for the person to explain what they do. That's not a
Somebody just set off their car alarm.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so you guys mentioned it's why? It's either the garbage truck, the car alarm, somebody has a bratty kid in the parking lot yelling, Mommy, stop beating me. The nerve of that child. Anyway, we did have a kid meltdown in the parking lot about a week ago. It was epic. It was like the best 4-year-old meltdown in the history of 4-year-old meltdowns. But the mom, she was cool. She put a sock in his mouth, bound his hands, shoved him in the trunk, and said, I'll be back in an hour. Shut up. And the kid was so cooperative. I'm kidding, for those of you who get offended by my bad sense of humor. Anyway, in your book, you talk about relationships and building relationships. And gosh, for somebody who's shy, introverted, whatever form that takes, building a relationship. Heck, I don't even have the nerve to walk up and go, hi, my name is Michael. What do you do? Can you mention, just to show people how powerful getting over that little hump is, can you bring forth a story or two that either you or other people where the floodgates open because you came to the road rally or they came to the road rally and had that 10 seconds of bravery where they walked up and said, so I saw you, on stage before. Tell me how you got started in the music business, which is my favorite opening line because everybody loves to talk about him or herself. So if you put it on them, you no longer have to be scared to death. But any good stories?
Well, we met a music supervisor we met him a long time ago, actually, and then we started seeing him at different events. And then he was on a panel at Taxi. And we became really good friends. We've actually met 2 music supervisors that we became really good friends with, and they both were on the Taxi rally at different times. The funniest part was years later, he called us to write a song for an Academy Award nominated film. And we were up against another producer from Nashville who had just worked with Lady Gaga and did a Stars Born. So we were in the running with this guy. We both lost out, and they ended up using a PB song, long story, but we were
Public domain.
Yes, public domain song. But it was such a thrill to be part of that and have a last minute thing and have that person trust us. So that was one of our favorite stories. What else was there? You have another story?
About, you mean just walking up to somebody and talking to them?
Getting to know them.
Something that resulted in something kind of career changing or a great placement or a long-term relationship.
Well, one of the things that we'll hopefully have time to get to today is the importance of introducing people. And what happened for us, this was at least 10 or more years ago, we were at the Taxi rally, and our good friend John Mizet, introduced us to a library owner because he had a relationship with him, and we had not met him yet. And so we kept in touch with him. We kept seeing him at the rally and at different music events. and we just finished up a project for him this summer, and it's making money already. So that's from an introduction, because we had developed a relationship with Maz first. He trusted us enough to introduce us to this library person, and so that's it's important to the people that you know. It's also important the people you know.
Well, our friends Stan Morris. If you've met him, he's great. He does kind of quirky, let's just say, off-timed, purposefully instrumentals that are in crazy time signatures and stuff, and that's kind of his niche, as we say. But he has this wonderful saying that what is it? No, when you meet, you get to know somebody, and then you can get to trust them, and then you can refer them. So that's a really important step to think about. We always hear about build relationships. We're not going to sign your music unless we know you. How do we as composers get to know the people on the panels and the music publishers? Well, here's a secret. If you do your research, they're very impressed that you, first of all, know who they are, know about their company, and that if you can find a kind of music that they need, that's golden. But they have to trust you, because their life and their job it's literally on the line, because they cannot make a mistake of using songs that have loops that aren't proper, and you just have to be very careful. So that's where the trust comes in. And that's what we found, is that some people burn bridges by just not being trustworthy. That's a big point.
Yeah, you talked about building genuine relationships in the book, and I have found that many people trying to cross that chasm of, okay, I've walked into an event, I'm going to build some relationships, that they look at it as a purely transactional thing. What do I want? I want somebody to sign me. I want somebody to license my music. And that's all they've got. They've got the blinders on, they've got tunnel vision, they're focused on that one thing. And then they blow the relationship in their initial meeting or approach with this person by walking up and going, "Hi, I'm Michael Laskow from Peoria, Illinois, and I think you should use my music in your next film because it's awesome." And they just look at you like, I'm never going to use your music because you just made me want to throw up in my mouth. So you have to... Yes, I mean, admittedly, if I were in the shoes of the attendees, the rally, or any event or anything starting out, yes, there is a transactional element. We can all admit that. But you can also nurture a real relationship so that you're not being a phony and you're not using somebody and you're not looking at it as purely transactional. And I would postulate that find a way, when you meet that person, after you get to know them a little bit over a beer at the bar, where are you from, where'd you grow up, how'd you get in the music industry, what's the hardest part of your job, what do you like most about your job. Now you've kind of been through all that stuff for 20 minutes and you're knowing each other a little bit. How can you bring something to that relationship that benefits both of you, kind of a quid pro quo, or even better, benefiting them? Give them a gift, because everybody responds well to a gift. So if you say, by the way, you just mentioned that you're working on a movie that takes place in, on the continent of India, or in India. Is India a continent, or is that in Asia? I think it's in Asia.
It's a part of another continent. Yes.
Right, it's part of Asia, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're in India, and it's 1934, and you need music that would be heard in India in 1934. I happen to have a friend who grew up in India and is a classically trained musician that can do traditional Indian music. Would you like me to reach out to him or her and connect you? And then just leave it at that. Just do the solid, and walk away from it. And that person will feel good about you without you going, I did good, right? Aren't you really, now will you do something for me? Just leave that part out of it and just do them the solid. And if
ultimately, a lot of the relationships that will develop at the Taxi Rally will ultimately, hopefully, be transactional in some way, but not only transactional. And I think there are two types of two categories, I think, to put people into. There are the people, as you mentioned, the library people, music supervisors, that are good to have relationships with because they can place your music. But you can actually be the person, as you just mentioned, you can be the person that either has the music that they're looking for because you did your research and you know what their projects are, or as you mentioned, you know somebody that I don't do that, but I have a buddy that definitely does that. Indian sounding music from decades ago. So definitely approach it that way, from the standpoint of, yes, you can help me, but I can help you too. It also works that way when you're networking with people that are creating music like we do. There are a lot of people that are just solo people. Dean Crapane's a great example. He does a lot of stuff on his own, but there are people that he will collaborate sometimes too. A lot of us collaborate because there's something that somebody else does that we don't. And there are people that do everything. They write, they perform, they record, they mix, they do it all. And that's great. But for those of us that do that over a period of time, there's kind of a sameness, a repetitiveness that happens. And so to change things up, sometimes we like to collaborate with artists. With maybe we need a different type of mix. We'll get someone else to mix it for us. And so meeting those people and being really honest about what your own strengths are and where your weaknesses are. And then when you meet somebody else, and hopefully they'll be honest, and if you're lucky, their strength is your weakness and vice versa. But that comes through conversation and being honest about what you're good at and what you're not.
Yeah, we know a guy, he's an amazing performer, and we've written songs with him. He would go into a convention, say, and bring a stack of business cards and just hand them out to everybody. But he wouldn't really take the time to talk. He would just, it was kind of mass volume, quantity over quality. But we like to do it a little differently. We try to find, say, the shyest person in the room, maybe, and go up to them. Hey, how are you enjoying it? And that person will be friends for life. We've done that many times. We have a lot of friends who were very uncomfortable or shy. They just wanted a friend, and now we're good friends. We've written with one or two of them, and we're still in a relationship with them. And the thing about a relationship, it's not just a one-time thing, as our other friend did, handing out hundreds of business cards everywhere. It's finding people you really connect with. And there are some people, we have nothing in common with them, but we make incredible songs with them because we are somehow able to just have that connection. And it's not from just one time meeting somebody, hey, how are you? It's seeing them over and over. So at the rally, if you see someone you met in line, wave to them, smile. And after a second or third time, you have a couple of days, you're there, we're all in the hotel. So keep on, and then maybe on the last day, hey, I'll buy you a drink, a little, soda or something, or go across the street to Starbucks, or I'll treat you to lunch at Denny's, or go to Daily Grill or something.
I will treat you to lunch at Denny's.
Hey, we're big time, we're just
we've actually treated like 10 people to lunch at Denny's, so that adds up.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
It was not cheap. But sometimes we'll just hang out in the lobby and find some people who maybe need a friend, So that's how you get to the relationship part. And frankly, it works for us. It doesn't work for everybody,
No, it's I would imagine it's like cooking. Do you hear that?
No, it's not us.
Just on your end, Michael.
Yeah, I'm hearing a sputtering thing. It's like
maybe it's the car alarming it.
Anyway, all right. It depends on your personality and your makeup. Don't try and be somebody you're not. As a matter of fact, that might be the best advice ever, is be exactly who you are. Nobody's judging you. And it is a room full of odd characters in the most beautiful way because people are just different. Somebody from Minnesota, a small town in Minnesota, is going to be different than somebody who's from Midtown Manhattan in New York City. But you know what? As you said very early in this episode, there's commonality. They both love making music, and the commonality will always outshine the differences. And you actually get to enrich your life by, wow, now my new best musical friend is from New York City, and you're learning stuff that you might not otherwise learn being, in a small town in Minnesota. And the guy from New York City has just learned all about ice fishing, for instance.
And the thing about taxi rally specifically is if you do randomly pick somebody out to talk to, you never know who you're talking to. You could be speaking with somebody, and hopefully you'll ask and find out it's their first rally, or they've been to many rallies, or they have a whole bunch of success, or they've been hammering away at it for a while and it's just not working yet. But just getting to know, ask the questions to find out where they are in their journey. And what's fascinating and very consistent about the people that go to, especially multiple taxi rallies, is regardless of where they are on their journey, they always want to help other people. That
Right.
It still fascinates me.
Why
It's
is
not,
that? Why are people so
I got
freaking
mine,
nice?
so I'm not going to help you. I've got it all figured out. You need to figure it out for yourself. That's not the way they are. They actually want to help. In fact, most of us want to make the path easier for the people that have started after we did. That's one of the reasons we wrote the book.
Well, and I think interestingly enough, a long time ago, a friend of ours, a good friend, he's a songwriter, he was signed with a major publishing deal, and one of the guys was on a taxi rally, huge hit songwriter, very interesting connection. But he told us, stay in the business so long that you see your friends rise to the top and run the company. And we have now seen probably 8 of our friends. They now own music libraries, and they're now music publishers, and one's running a major studio. And they were all just starting out with all, us 20 years ago. So it's really cool to see that. We're so proud of them.
And they may be sitting next to you in the bar.
And
Right.
they might need music.
Actually, I make it kind of easy for people. Something I started doing 2 rallies ago. When I first get introduced by Michael Lloyd and I come out and the crowd goes wild and they give me a standing ovation for like 20 minutes. I'm joking, of course. Michael Lloyd's always going, come on, up, people, up. And I'm like, if they're, that's pathetic. Please don't ask them to stand up. Anyway, I asked the members who have either signed deals or had placements or both to stand up in the ballroom. And it's like 50% of the people in the ballroom stand up. And if I were somebody who was a first timer, I would look at who is near me that's standing up, because that has indicated that they've already figured out, they've cracked the code. So there's your opening line. That person walks out of the ballroom, tap, tap, tap on the shoulder. Hey, I was sitting close to you in the ballroom and I saw that you stood up. So you've signed deals or had placements? Oh, both, really? How long did it take you? Was a particular genre more productive than others? Can we just, you want to go to lunch with me at Denny's? I really want to learn while I'm here, and you seem
I don't
like
have any taste.
you seem like somebody
My
who.
cholesterol's way too low.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that alone is an opportunity right there. When you've got the people in the room who've had some modicum of success near you, standing up, going, "That's me." You already know who you want to talk to. Not that you should avoid the people who didn't stand up because they're a bunch of losers, but talk to the people. Tony Robbins has been saying it for 50 years. It's like anything you want to do in life, somebody else has done it before you. All you need to do is find out what they did and do it.
And don't forget, you're taking up people's time. When we were starting out, we knew nothing. We didn't know anything about the business. And so we would meet some people, say at the taxi rally, a music publisher or such, and we would invite them. We would make a trip to Los Angeles. And we'd say, hey, we just want to talk to you. We don't understand about how the copyrights work in publishing, and treat them to lunch, because probably 9 times out of 10, we got a yes. And it was really enlightening to do that. But it was our dime. We had to accommodate their schedule, and we treated all the time. We had one person who offered to pay, and we said nope. And we were so broke. There was kind of this little hesitation going, oh, no, we got it. That's fine. But always offered to treat them seriously.
Or buy them a drink at the bar, for sure.
That's what I mean. But pay for it. That's where people get cheap. We have no sympathy, because for us it's double. We always have to pay twice.
That's right.
So we have no sympathy. It's too expensive. Yeah, try paying double. So,
Yeah, but at least you get to share a room.
That's true,
I hope.
too. It does cut down a little bit, but
So,
yeah, definitely.
We've talked about bringing something valuable to the relationship for the other party, maybe for both parties. It's cross-pollination, and one thing I made a note here, which you guys probably saw because I sent you my notes, but in a perfect world, offer them something valuable or helpful. Don't ask for anything in return. If you walk up to them and say, dude, my music is freaking awesome, it's the bomb, you got to hear it, that is not bringing value to them. That is making a fool out of yourself because you look desperate. And frankly, as Tracey and Vance will tell you, back me up on this, it's most of the time it's not about having the best piece of music or being the best composer. It's about having the right piece of music for the right scene. You could have a B+ piece of music that works great in a scene, really amplifies the emotion or helps tell the story better or makes the action more exciting. Whatever the music needs to do in that scene, it could be B+ or A-. In a perfect world, it would be A or A+, but sometimes a B+ piece that's right for the scene does a better job than an A+ piece that's not quite right for the scene. Have you guys, at what point, I know you know this, at what point in your trajectory, your career arc, did you learn that extremely valuable lesson?
Well, we actually have a friend, and she's not the best, admittedly, self-admittedly, the best piano player, but she did a whole album of playing piano badly. It got signed by a major production music library, and she makes a killing because it's like a little kid learning to play and doing a piano lesson in a scene. They use that piece of music, and she's very proud of it. So that does happen. We have heard of that, and like I said, we've been edged out too by a public domain song now and then, or something just so weird that you didn't expect it.
I'm glad you brought up public domain, or PD as it's sometimes called. We get surprisingly few submissions for our public domain listings. I don't know why that is, but if I were a musician, I mean, let's face it, writing a song is hard because getting the lyrics right, extremely hard. Getting the lyrics right for sync and not talking about my dog was brown and white and loved to run down the driveway and meet me when I got off the school bus. Too much detail to work in anything. PD, public domain. Somebody went to the trouble of writing that sucker. All you have to do is a rendition of it, a version of it. And I would think that would be such an easy thing to do and get not that many people submit to those. Do you guys have any insight for me on why it is people aren't attracted to those?
I think that for those that are aware of the royalty situation, you will hear that the PROs, ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, that they pay at a lower rate for a public domain piece of music than they do for something that you wrote originally. But we've got a lot of public domain, especially Christmas songs.
Yeah.
And they make a bunch of money in royalties. I mean, I agree. Because the thing about, we love doing public domain because we know that, okay, this is My Country 'Tis of Thee or Jingle Bells. We know this has been done a bunch of different times. So the challenge is to come up with something new and fresh and different and interesting. And we've been able to do that and been very successful with it. And don't believe the hype. I suppose it pays less. It's hard to compare side by side for the exact same type of placement. But no, the ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, they actually do pay well enough for us to keep doing it for public domain songs.
Yeah, one of our co-writers, she just recorded a Mozart aria, and they used it in an Apple commercial. So it was really awesome. And then we did a collection of Take Me Out to the Ball Game, and a music supervisor we met, a different one at Taxi Rally, he took it and used it on a sports channel and was killing it. We still make money, and that was years ago. And then we've done Christmas for Hallmark, and we've done, we did for another Taxi panelist, a music publisher. We've known him for a long time. And we did a fife and drum, and it's just a piccolo kind of thing and a drum, and that's all it is. And they use it on shows and commercials and webinars, all kinds of stuff. So and it doesn't have to be that complicated. I did a whole collection of nursery rhymes, nursery songs, little lullabies and stuff, because I was practicing how to get better at recording. We have Pro Tools, and
what a great way to do it.
Yeah, but they were already done. It was just opening up a little music box patch, and those things get licensed to this day. And that was one of the first things I've ever recorded.
And those fife and drum military songs, military marches, I mean, we used the best samples we had at the time, but I listen to it now and go, oh man, I know there are better samples available now. And even then I'm thinking there were probably a bunch of people that could have manipulated the samples better to make them sound good. But what we did, our version of it, though not as good as others, got placed a bunch of times because, again, the right piece of music at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, and there was an opportunity to write for a publisher. It was very last minute, but it was to do a recording of taps, and it was for a major TV show. And Vance and I thought, our samples aren't that great. We don't have time to really manipulate it. We don't have time to mix and master it. And a few days later, we were talking to him, and he goes, "Why didn't you guys just send it? You knew how to play it." And I said, "Well, yeah."
You're talking taps, like the bugle.
Da, 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 da,
Yeah.
da, da,
I mean, how hard could that have been?
I know, it would have literally taken us maybe a half hour to do, and we kind of blew it off, and he goes, "Oh God, you guys, I didn't get any submissions for that, and I really could have used it." And we felt so bad because we said, "Why didn't we do that?"
And here's the funny thing is something like, fife and drum, people might belabor the sonic quality, sit there, oh, I got to make the snares and that drum sound great. I'm sorry, but in 1780, the snares on drums did not sound great, if they even had snares on their drums. And the fife did sound great. And so you got to think about it. Okay, fife and drum, it's going to be viewed from the perspective of a camera. It's going to be seen from anywhere from 7 or 8 feet away to 30 feet away. So I'm not going to close mic an actual fife and worry about EQing it and compressing it and making it sound like the best damn sounding fife in the world. No, make it sound authentic. Record it from across the room. Roll off a little top end on that drum because you wouldn't have had a Neve preamp on that drum back in 1780. So little things like that actually make it easier and more authentic and more usable, which is the key word for music and media, which is this piece usable? By the way, somebody asked earlier, is the hotel easy to get to from the airport? Yes. There's a free shuttle that allegedly runs every 15 minutes, more like every 25 to 30 minutes. But whenever I go out of town, I park my car at the hotel where we're doing the road rally. And so I take that shuttle quite often. And it's free. Give the driver a couple of bucks for handing your bag to you when you get off of the thing, and you're good to go. You get to avoid a rental car, which in LA could be $60, $70 a day for a cheap one. You don't
paying for parking at the hotel.
Yeah,
what?
you get out of park.
Paying for parking at the hotel.
Yeah, which has got to be like $50 a day or something. Oh, here's a great story for you. I was out of the country for 7 weeks last spring, February through March. And the Westin lets me park there. I guess I can say this. Part of my contract is I get free parking when I go to the Westin to go somewhere to the airport. So when I land on my plane, I come back, I walk up to the front desk, did so-and-so leave a parking pass for Michael Laskow? Yes, here you go. So I usually have the one that I got the day I checked in 2 months ago, and then the one they gave me now, which is the in and out pass. And I put the wrong one in the thing. And my thing that came up, the highest number ever seen on an airport parking thing, $2,995 is what I would have had to pay did I not have the freebie. I literally felt tightness in my chest.
You could buy a car for that.
I know.
Used car. Wow.
Anyway, so then I took that one out. I backed out of that lane, actually went to the lane next to it and put in the overnight, in and out pass. Up went the gate and I went, whew, that was a close call. Oh, you know what? Something that comes up that's not really 100% applicable to this conversation, but you guys will have a good answer for it. So many people don't come to the road rally because they don't feel ready. And by ready, they mean I don't have a catalog of material to pitch. I would say come with nothing to pitch your first year because you're liable to make some mistakes in pitching. Get to know the ropes, get to know the people, get to know the lay of the land. And you'll probably find out that you'll have better music next year because you will have learned more at this rally. Do you guys feel like I feel about this?
Doesn't matter. You don't need it. In fact, we were pretty naive. We had nothing when we came to our first 2 rallies. But I would suggest bringing business cards, and that sounds really old school, but
not anymore, does it?
you know what? the professionals still like business cards because all your contact information is there. And if you want to do a QR code on your business cards, that's what we usually do. Because when you just put in someone's phone, they don't get your branding. And I hate to use that word, but it's a thing, especially for music supervisors. If you're an artist, a lot of artists have really cool cards. You know, they're usually their picture is on it, so you'll remember what they look like. And then you have their name and you have their, contact information. I would also recommend having a website. Very simple. You don't have to go all out, just a simple thing. Instead of just disco or some other kind of platform, Real Craft or a disco, because there's kind of an anonymous nature about a website. People can check out your music and what you've done. Whereas on disco, it's all tracked. And I know music supervisors, even though they love it and they use it, of course, for a new person to get to know a music supervisor, they're a little cagey with that. They would rather just kind of anonymously check you out. Same with music publishers. That's been our experience. But also when you have a business card, I always take the time at the end of the day to write down notes. Okay, this person said they're a singer. We're looking for a male singer for a project. He also produces and can do his vocals and edit them and all that kind of stuff. So I make careful notes when I meet people, and I literally we have an entire banker's box filled with business cards, but I remember them. I have kind of a photographic memory. So for me, it makes me remember the person and their branding, what they do, where we met. I put notes about, we talked to them before the mentor lunch, and that's how we met some of our co-writers, frankly, was that mentor lunch. So I would recommend the business card just because it's a physical thing, it's a visual thing, especially music supervisors. And also, we had a good friend, we were asking people about networking, some of our taxi friends, and one said that out of the blue, music supervisor just contacted him and said, hey man, I had your business card on my desk for months, and finally I just decided to contact you. It wouldn't have happened if it was just in his phone. So we really encourage that. It's old school, but it's cute, and you can make notes on it.
Yeah,
so
nobody laughs at that anymore. 10 years ago, they were more prone to chuckle at a business card, or 5 years ago. That's so old school. CDs used to be the thing. Nobody gives out CDs anymore because nobody's got a CD player. But you do, and your point about having the website, Bandzoogle has been a sponsor of the Road Rally for many, many years. And Dave Kuhl, who's like the head of artist relations or whatever, VP of artist relations at Bandzoogle, has become a personal friend of mine because I love the way they do business. They're ethical. They really care about their customers, all those values that Taxi holds dearly. So we tend to gravitate and become friends with companies who are run by like-minded people. You could make the assumption that I plug Bandzoogle and websites because I'm trying to throw a little love towards our sponsors who pay for your seats at the Road Rally, by the way. But truthfully, I would say 70% of the members I know who are successful have a simple website. Why? Because you can have logos of the networks and shows you've been on there. It's not ephemeral like... social media is here 1 minute, gone the next. A website is forever, and it can be whatever you want it to be, and you're not at the mercy of some other company or some other third-party entity. So, yeah, you want to have your success stories on your website. You want to have great contact information on your website. You want to have maybe a couple of scenes from really impressive shows or films that your music has been in on your website. And have your catalog, put up a playlist on your website. And honestly, I'm not saying this because they're a sponsor, but I'm proud to say that they're a sponsor because virtually every taxi member I know that has a website uses Bandzoogle. Some people will try and build one with, what's it called?
Weebly or Wix or?
No. Not the stuff in a box, but what's the software? Open. What?
No. Open. What? No, don't know.
No, the open source thing that everybody used to build websites with from scratch, but you had to understand a certain amount of programming.
WordPress?
Yeah,
WordPress, yeah. People will try and cheap out because there's a free version of WordPress, and what they end up with is dreck. what they get when they go with Bandzoogle is a company that deals almost entirely with musicians, and they know what musicians like, what they need, what the people who they're dealing with need. So they give you options that are done already. You don't have to understand coding, and you can drag and drop and put together a website that actually works. And by the way, one of the things they always say whenever I have them on TAXITV is stay away from the flowery, scripty, or kooky fonts. If somebody's got a strain to go, does that say forward or far out? Because your font is so loopy. As a business owner and a marketing person who's passionate about marketing, I've read so many books about choices of font. And believe it or not, for the printed word, 12-point Times New Roman scores infinitely higher than Helvetica in a 12-point for a printed page. And as you'll see, all taxi documents, kind of a house rule here. Everything is done in 12-point Times New Roman. But for web stuff, Helvetica or one of the other sans serif fonts usually works better. It looks a little more modern. So knowing these things, well, the guys at Bandzoogle have learned from trial and error from their customers over many years, and they just make it so easy. So I encourage you. I am not trying to put $1 in Bandzoogle's pocket, although I love them and would love to do that for them. I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart. Part of being successful is being where your audience is. And when that music supervisor who reached out to your friend after some period of time, they had the business card, I guarantee you, before they reached out, they Googled the person, and if the first thing that comes up on the Google search is your website, they're going to go there, they're going to listen to the music and go, that's a good call. I should pick up the phone and call that person. So
absolutely.
it all interweaves.
Yeah, exactly. It all integrates together. And our friend is really prepared. He has a YouTube channel. It's very successful. He's now getting a lot of endorsement deals. So everything works. And yet it's a nice little way for people to find out about you without you knowing they're poking around, which is an interesting thing.
Absolutely. Right, and always remember that with the website, we have a tendency to want to put up what we want to put up. But instead, we should think about, okay, well, who do I want to come to my website? What do I want them to see? What's going to help them to make?
What do they want to see? Yeah,
exactly.
Right. Yeah, such a great point. You know, a lot.
People put dog walker, and they do car washing and detailing, and literally on their music website. That is not a good look, really.
No,
and even if you have no credits and you just started yesterday, just put, I am a songwriter, or I am an artist, and I do this kind of music, and I have a show coming up. That's all you need to do. It can be very simple.
And you don't have to mention that you don't have placements, because if you didn't put them on your website, they're going to know you don't have placements.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but that's not really an issue. You don't need to make a big deal about that. Like I said, they'll figure it out. But they want to hear what you do. They want to hear your music.
And contact information needs to be current. You would be shocked how many people. I just reached out to somebody the other day that's a real live industry veteran and very professional, highly thought of person who we all know this person by name. Their phone number and their email address were both from like the early 2000s and way out of date. And I had to call a mutual friend to get in touch with this person, and they were complaining. It's a music supervisor, and the supervisor's saying business has been really slow. Well, guess what, bucko? It's slow because nobody can get to you.
I'm not even surprised, because that has happened a time or two to us as well. But
yeah, it's really important to keep that stuff current. Yeah. So one thing that I know goes on inside the head of a lot of people that are afraid to come to the rally, afraid to walk up to somebody at the rally and start a conversation, is they let thoughts run rampant in their own head, and they play the tape over and over again. Oh gosh, if I'm standing near Tracey and Vance, they've got 3,000 things out there. They've been doing this for 20 years. They're intimidated. And they fear that you or somebody like you is going to look down their nose at this person. So somebody who's more accomplished on the musician side can intimidate people and prevent them from reaching out, which at the road rally is freakishly the opposite, by the way. or an industry pro. Gosh, I couldn't possibly walk up to that library owner, that music supervisor, because the imposter syndrome is going to kick in. I need to walk up and be like all studly and go, I've got 5,000 pieces of music and 45 catalogs, and I just had something in an Oscar-winning movie last week. What's your day been like? That is so not the case. Don't be intimidated by those people, because guess what? They were you 10 years ago.
And the people that have those kinds of placements and have been successful generally don't walk around talking about being successful. Most of them, I believe all the ones I can think of, are actually very humble, and you actually have to pull it out of them.
Yeah. There again, go to their website, because you'll usually find out about that. Some of the most amazing people, we were at a convention, and this woman was very shy. She was standing kind of alone, and we went up and talked to her, and she's become a really good friend. But she worked on Pirates of the Caribbean and huge films. She works at Hans Zimmer Studio. She was the most humble, laid-back person we've ever met, and to this day, that was like 15 years ago, we're still good friends. So you never know, like we said earlier, you never know if someone's accomplishments. They usually don't brag. She is not a bragger. You really have to pull it out of her to find out what she's done. And I was shocked when I saw her IMDb page. I just said, oh my gosh, look what she's done. So never be afraid of that, because that's truthfully why we're all at the Taxi Rally. We're there to find out information and share information. So you could be on either end at any time. And besides, I always say, when you say you're a lyricist, oh, I'm just a lyricist. No, you're not. You're not just a lyricist. You probably have a ton of other skills. And it turns out some of our taxi friends, one of them is a CPA, and he gave us really good tax advice about what to look for in a new CPA when we were looking for one. And another one is a library owner, and he told us he loves it when people come up to him and say, hey, I've got some music and I love your library. I think it might fit. He thinks that's great. And we've been always telling people, be kind of careful with that. And he said, no, I like it. We were shocked. We did not know that.
But what he said was he appreciated when whoever it is that approaches him did their research, knows who he is, knows his library, knows the kind of placements that they get, maybe even went through the catalog to see, you know what, you only have a couple albums of surf rock, and I do surf rock very well. That type of research goes a long way. You will win their respect instantly.
And we have another friend, and he loves music. He's an amazing producer, a great singer, and yet he works his real job fighting off cyber criminals for hospitals and major hospitals. And so so you're not just a lyricist or a composer. You probably have other skills that we were talking about sharing to help people with. And that's been really magical.
It is. The Road Rally is the most sharing community, and you'd think it would be the opposite. I've been to many other music conventions, frankly, whereas people, kind of like hanging out trying to be super cool and show everybody, just by being cool with my leather pants and my attitude and a million tattoos, that I'm the best thing that's going to happen to you, Mr. Industry Guy. The Road Rally is the opposite of that. It is literally like a love fest, and I didn't design it that way. It's the members, it's the personality. Maybe we attract people with good hearts and generous spirits, but I always say, I just poured the foundation, built the barn, opened the doors, and whoever came in, came in. Well, it turned out to be a really great group of people that came in, and it is almost like the subtitle, for you, if you will, about the Road Rally is the spirit of generosity has started careers, nurtured careers, and is definitely responsible for some. Look at you guys. You're a great example of it. So how important is preparation? I made a note here about practical ways to prepare. Is there a checklist? It used to be bring CDs, make sure the CDs have this information, blah, blah, blah. So I just made notes. Ways to prepare, checklist, elevator pitch, breath mints, which is really more important than you might realize. Nothing worse than getting spittle on your face from somebody who has vodka breath combined with cigarette breath combined with just plain old halitosis. You are not going to...
I got COVID, I can't smell anymore, so...
What would you pack in your emergency kit to go to the Road Rally or any other music convention? What are some items on your checklist?
All of those are great.
Yeah, breath mints, business cards.
Which, by the way, I love, love, love. The Taxi Rally badges. Thank you, Michael. We've been to 4 different events in the past 2 months, and their badges sucked. I hate to say it that way, but they were awful. They were one-sided, and people are running down in the lobby borrowing my pens to write their name on the other side.
I think it might have been you two that suggested that we print them on both sides. I should give credit where credit is due.
Both sides
in a big font.
In a big font, and you tell where the people come from. So right away, oh, you're from Peoria, Illinois. Tell me, what was it like there? There you go. Right away, there's a connection. But also, the best part about it, you can stick your business cards right in between the flap, and guess what? You just pull it right out.
But stick your business card between the pieces, not covering your name and sitting on either side. People do that all the time. And people walk up to me because they met me last year, the year before, or 10 years ago, and they go, Michael, Bob Smith from Peoria. And I'm like, hi, Bob. I do remember some people. Oddly enough, I don't have a great memory for names. Song titles as well. Neil Young used to always say to me, third song after the leader, okay? Because I just can't, I don't know why. I've got like a mental block against names. I recognize faces, and I know people that I've met before, but, we generally have a couple thousand people. I haven't memorized everybody's name, but, here's a tip I've never given out before. Make sure if the photographer is shooting a candid of you, you're talking to a music supervisor, and it's the two of you and the music supervisor, and you're laughing, blah, blah, blah. It's a pretty good idea to make sure your badge can be seen, because it breaks my heart when we do the newsletter and say, yet another unidentified taxi member talking to a music supervisor. The reason being, we can't see their badge because they're wearing an open shirt and the badge is pushed to the side and it's covering it. Or they're holding up a notebook or a tote bag or something. So if you can, without going and being a dork about it, make sure your badge is visible if the photographer.
Yeah. We talk about that in our book because people do not remember names. A lot of people don't remember faces. And I think you have to, I've read in several studies, it takes 6 to 8 times of someone seeing you over and over to connect your name, and sometimes even a dozen times before they even understand and remember what you do. And so don't be offended. It's never a problem to say, I'm so sorry, I'm just blanking. I have COVID brain. I can use that excuse. And just say, I know we've met, but what is your name again? But they shouldn't have to ask. Whenever you see someone, just remind them. Say, hey, this is Vance, and I'm Tracy, and we met last year. Oh, yeah, I know you guys. And we get that all the time. Oh, I remember you guys, but I get called Stacy, and he gets called Vince or Lance, So, and it's fine. A lot of times my name's misspelled. That's cool. I'm cool with that. My sister can't even spell my name. So,
it's got an E in it, right?
It has the E in it, but
right.
I go by Trace, if that helps. Trace with a Y.
I actually, when I made my show notes for today's show, I didn't have the E in it. And I thought, I should double check that. And sure enough, I found I had the E. So I did a replace all, and now you've got an E all over your name.
But the personal branding is important too, because
say that again one more time, please.
Personal branding, where somebody's trying to remember us. To a lot of people, we are the tall couple from San Diego. And it works to help people to remember who we are. But whenever we meet new people and we're trying to remember them, we'll remember it's Bob. He loves the pizza from that one place in Chicago. Whatever, just something to tie together the face with the name. First of all, those two things are important. But some other third thing about them. Yeah. Jets fan, whatever.
I met a girl years ago, and she said, it was right after a hurricane, a very famous hurricane. And she said, my name's Katrina, like the hurricane. I always remember that. It's not maybe the best way to remember.
I've got so many great one-liners, but this is a family show. I won't bring them up.
But do something memorable, and
in a good way.
In a good way.
Right.
Like even you have a hobby, or I'm a big Detroit Lions fan, or whatever you want to say. And then we'll go, boo, we're Padres fans, ha ha ha, So anything that will get the conversation started.
Yeah, I don't tell people I'm a Dolphin fan because every year they break my heart. It's an embarrassment. But anyway,
You should keep that a secret, Michael.
yeah, I just did, kind of, not really. Elevator pitch. You're downstairs in the lobby, you're going up to your room to brush your teeth or grab $20 so you can go buy a beer, whatever the case, and you get in the elevator, and the door, as the door's shutting, a hand does the karate chop, and in walks somebody that was just on a panel 20 minutes ago, and it's just you and that person. Your palms begin to sweat, your heart begins to race. How do you make the best of that moment? What's your opening line? Like, have you ever been in an elevator where the cable snapped? I'm guessing isn't the right way to go about it.
Well, two main things. You want them to know who you are, and you want them, and hopefully that's a quick introduction. Hi, Bob from Illinois, and I write trailer music, whatever it is. I like the way you said this on the panel. Just something that it shows you were paying attention. It just engages them and makes them realize that, oh, you didn't just see my name tag. You actually heard me speak. You took the time to go to my panel, or you watched the video that I did on if it happens to be somebody that you've done research on, which do your research, but that's what the internet's for.
Well, and I also want to say, if you're in the elevator, you literally do only have a few seconds. So usually can say, oh, that was great panel. As Vance said, if you take notes during that talk, our friend Brian Curtin does that all the time, and he comes up with some great things to tell the person, and he usually does see them again. I don't know how he does it. He's got the law of attraction going or something. But
it is funny because Brian is a pretty quiet and reserved guy. He's definitely somebody that could have been your biology teacher. In sophomore year in high school, he's not like, hey, I'm Brian Curtin, cool.
But he's very stealth. He's not one of those bigger than life personalities, but he's just an incredible guy to talk to.
And also, one point that we just wanted to get across before we run out of time is about giving back and helping people. Mm-hmm. There are so many ways to do that. Be a volunteer. It's not about us taking from the business, it's us giving back. So we've become a volunteer for many, many organizations, and we've encouraged our friends to be volunteers, and that has worked out great. Some of our friends are on committees now, and we share information. Our great friend Juliet Lyons, she's a co-writer. We helped her get a job for a publishing amazing organization, AIMP. Michael Ames has been a guest at the rally. He was president, and now she basically runs that organization, and it's been wonderful for her. She's met music publishers, and she's getting her name out with the Grammy Awards coming up. She's that close to getting a Grammy. Good luck, Julia. But give back. Give back to, and like Taxi, you stuff bags, right? You're always looking for people to help stuff the goodie bags. Help out. Come early. They'll treat you maybe to pizza or something. But it's
great way to meet people.
It's a great way to meet people is giving back. Volunteer for some organizations. We were scared to do that, and now 12 years ago we just got really into that, and we're members of probably a dozen music organizations. And we run into incredible people that can do amazing things. So it's giving back as well. I just want to make that point because it's not all about.
I think that's great. In the beginning of Taxi, I mean, my wife and I were as broke as you can be we weren't in, well, that's lying. We had some credit card debt, probably about $8,000 worth of credit card debt. Started the company the year we got married. I had 22 grand in the bank, blew through that very quickly, even being very frugal, which I am by nature. But where did I go? South Dakota Songwriters Association. I would go anywhere where they could put 25 people in a room and show up and talk to them about sync until I was blue in the face. And I went to San Diego Songwriters Association or not San Diego, I did go there, but South Dakota Songwriters Association. My wife is like, why would you go there? And I said, because they asked and I want to be a nice guy. And to this day, there are a couple people that saw me that day that are still members. So the lifetime financial value of me going to that thing paid off, not to mention I met some really cool people, really enjoyed myself. Almost didn't make it back for my wife's graduation from her master's program. She said, okay, but be aware, I'm graduating 4 o'clock on Sunday. Don't miss it. I missed the one flight out. One flight. I had to literally go to the airport, walk around, find a guy with a Cessna that flew me to Minneapolis so I could get on a Northwest Airlines flight, make it to LA. And I literally pulled onto the campus of USC as my wife was walking up to get her diploma. Close call. Yeah. I'm gonna give away a copy of your wonderful book, and I'm not just saying that because these guys are on the show. I frankly wouldn't ask them to be on the show if I couldn't plug the book because it is so good, you guys. So there's what the cover of the book looks like. It's quite thick. Whoops. Hard to do backwards. Quite thick. As you can see, I've dog-eared all kinds of stuff in my coffee. So we're going to do a giveaway for that. And I promised you guys I would tell you the story that I forgot to tell last week. Okay. So, as you guys know, many of you know this, we do compilations probably 4 or 5 times a year, whether it's Christmas music compilations, could be election theme, news channel compilations. And we send this stuff out to virtually every library we do business with. And all this stuff gets signed. I don't think we've ever had anything that went out on a compilation that didn't get snapped up quickly. And we get a multitude of reports from people whose music is on the compilation saying, I had 4 different companies reach out to me. The first one got my stuff. So great, we'll tell number 2, 3, and 4. If you want stuff like that, that batch was already taken, but I can make more of that same thing. And they'll say, absolutely, every time, guaranteed. So we were putting out our annual Christmas compilation. And the staff, after it's gone through the A&R staff, it comes to me just because the boss is a control freak. And I like to sign off on stuff because it's our customers that are going to hear this, our B2B customers. And I want to make sure that I like the order in which stuff is on there and that the stuff is really, really good and represents our membership really well. This year, the first thing on there I thought was the best Christmas song, short of Bing Crosby doing White Christmas, that I've heard in a very, very long time. It was really good. I'm not going to mention the member's name. Frankly, I don't even know the member's name. There was a vocalist on it that delivered a spectacularly moving and appropriate vocal for it. And it's somebody who was signed to a major label. A friend of mine actually produced the record on the major label. I've spoken to that artist just by coincidence on the phone 20 years ago, and I'm feeling really good about this. And I said to Tom, our head of A&R, do me a favor, reach out to that member and find out if he's got a work for hire signed, because he's got an artist that's been signed to a major label before on this thing. Let's make sure our I's are dotted and our T's are crossed. He reached out to this brand new green member and said, do you have a work for hire? No, I don't even know what that is. So deflated. Thank God we didn't send it out because, seriously, every library would have wanted it. It would have become the most licensed piece of Christmas music, and whoever got it, it would have been the most licensed Christmas song in their catalog. It was that perfect. And he just didn't know what a work for hire was, didn't get one. And then he said, but I guess it doesn't matter because I co-wrote the song with the guy who sang on it. And I went, oh, problem solved. Turns out he didn't co-write it. So these are things. If you think that that successful people in the industry are successful because their music is just so good, that was the music industry 20 or 30 years ago. If you had 3 songs that sounded like singles, you could get signed to a major label deal. You'd find a great manager. The chariot would come and whisk you away to the heavens, and you would have a career in the music industry. The music licensing industry is an industry, a business of pennies. You make 57 cents here, you make $1.43 there, $12.86 there. And it's a matter of it all adding up. But the reason that it does add up is because you keep getting placement after placement after placement. Why do you get placement after placement after placement? Because you make the job easier for the company that's signing your music. You deliver on time. You have your work for hire agreement signed with a vocalist that you used. You know that they tend to like their stuff, in the 90-ish seconds range, and they like buttoned endings or stinger endings. You get all those little things right, where that old lizard brain of yours that harkens back to the old music industry of singles and records thinks it's just about a great song. Once they hear the music, they're just going to love it and everything's going to happen for me. It's not about that. It's having the right music, and really good music is a given. That's your baseline. But all those other little seemingly unimportant things on top of it can make the difference. And I was just deflated that I was so proud to put that song on our Christmas compilation because it was so good. I remember when I heard it, I walked into the A&R room and I said to the guys, there's not a company that's not going to want this, and there will not be a Christmas season that this song will not get licensed every freaking year, end up in some big damn movies all the time. This was like, if J-Lo's doing a Christmas movie next year, I don't know which one of her husbands she would invite to open packages on Christmas morning, but you get the idea. That song would be in a movie of that, with like major stars. And we all know Christmas movies are evergreen. They tend to play on Netflix or wherever every Christmas. So that was heartbreaking. And the member wasn't an idiot, I'm sure, not a buffoon or a jerk or any of that negative stuff, just new to the business and didn't know any better. And that, my dear friends, is why we do TAXITV. That's why we do the Road Rally. And as one of our members said, going through quotes that I could use in promotional stuff, I've learned more at the Road Rally in one weekend than I did going to name a major music school. Somebody else said, I've been in the music business for real, earning money for 35 years. I learned more at the rally than in the 35 years leading up to the rally. So please come to the rally, take the advice that Tracey and Vance have given today. Don't be intimidated. Know that it's literally to the person. They are the kindest, most generous, supportive group of people and non-competitive. Your life will be so much better. I know that's a huge statement. And you'll be so much closer to your dream that deep down inside you think there's no way I'm ever going to earn my living making music. You can. It takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes, doing it right and crossing your T's and dotting your I's, all those little things. But then you hit, what do they call it when a snowball's rolling downhill? Momentum, I guess. You get the momentum, and all of a sudden it's like things really start to happen for you. And I could not be more proud of Tracey and Vance, because I've known them since they were 3 feet tall. Those people didn't know anything about anything, and now look at it.
We did not.
Oh
no,
my gosh, we were
didn't.
so dumb. We were so naive. But we do have a work for hire in our book, and it was approved by an attorney that we met, and he's been on the taxi panels and on TAXITV many times over the years, and he has helped us so many times. I think we even won on TAXITV a consultation with him for for a half hour. We went to his office. We ended up chatting for about 2 hours. He goes, "Oh, it's free. Don't worry about it."
Wow.
We were just so thrilled, and he's been a good friend of ours ever since. He's got a book out as well, but he also, we had 3 attorneys look at our work for hire. So it's solid. It's very simple. It's not that hard to put together, but you have to have these things.
How much does this book cost? $26.95, right?
And Michael, we only make 70 cents a book. That's how bad our publishing deal is, which I probably shouldn't say. But it's not, someone said, they said on a review, this is a money grab for the authors. First of all, it took us 18 months to write this book, almost 2 years actually. And it took a long time, and then it's through a major publisher. It's our first publishing deal, so they get the bulk of that money.
And so far, not that much money to grab.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's been not even pennies. We haven't even paid back our advance yet. So, which we used to pay
Wow.
the attorneys to review the contracts and the books. So there you go. That was the lesson. But we did it because we wanted to give back. It's really important for us to share this information because we did not know any of this since we were 3 foot tall. So,
You
so
guys have
thank you,
come a
Michael.
long, long way, and I could not be more proud of you and happy for you. And by the way, speaking of giving back, anytime you need me to, do a remote thing for NSAI San Diego chapter, which I know you guys run,
We would love.
um,
That'd be great.
any of that stuff, and frankly, I'm driven down to San Diego in so many years. I almost made it down for Matt Vanderbo's wedding, but then had to go to Orlando or somewhere for some family function on my own. I couldn't go, but yeah, give me a reason to drive down to San Diego.
Okay, well, we do it
Side note.
online too. Oh, side note.
Side note, Matt's bride actually used to come to our NSAI San Diego meetings.
She still does.
We encouraged her to go to the taxi rally.
Yep.
And that's how they met.
Yes.
You gave us tickets for our group to go and to attend, and she took it. She volunteered at the open mic, and it was love at first sight.
I could not be happier for them because Matt Vanderbo is he's an unusual guy in the best possible way. He is definitely not shy, very, very smart, very boisterous and loud and outgoing, has a very infectious laugh. I think a lot of women a lot of people would be intimidated by he's like if you take a fizzy and drop it into a cup of water. That's what happens when Matt Vanderbo enters a room. It's like, psh. And so I'm so happy that he met Malika and they were a good match because he's a special guy, and I don't know her nearly as well. I've gotten to know him very well.
She's special too. She's amazing, very spiritual. She's written a book as well. A wonderful book. She's an author. She was a dentist. She's now a musician. I mean, she's got an incredible story.
She's still a dentist, right? She's still practicing.
I think so. I think she was going to sell her practice. I shouldn't say off, record, but on the record. But I'm not sure what she's been doing.
You know what a dentist's favorite slogan is, right? Drill, baby, drill. Bada boom.
Bada boom.
Anyway,
are we talking about the election now? Because I have a few thoughts.
That's something we want to say. No talking politics or religion. Those are kind of taboo subjects.
I've got to say, it has been brought to my attention that the road rally is taking place a day or two after the election this year. But we had another. I want to say that the 2016 election was right before the road rally. I think. I don't know. We've survived all kinds of crap at the road rally. We survived the weird girl who was coughing up phlegm and spitting it into a cup in the ballroom all weekend. We've the naked guy who stood up in the middle of a panel with the words "unknown boy" painted on his chest. I was just glad he wasn't holding a gun when he did it. We've had a few weird incidents, and we've survived them all, and we've thrived in the face of adversity. Anyway,
come to the Taxi Road Rally. Who knows what crazy things people will do?
Yes.
That's right. If the spitting girl comes back, I'll send her up to your room.
We need to give away a book, though, right?
Yes, we do. There it is. Oh, hold on. Let me do something really high tech here. That is a copy of the book we're going to give away. And how we're going to do it is you guys are going to write the letters TV for Tracey and Vance, and please only enter once. If you already have the book, please don't enter again. And Liz goes up and down the chat room. We do it very scientifically with her finger and goes, doink. I'm sorry to say that we can't let the winner be outside of the North America. Sending a book even to London is just way more than the book costs. It's crazy. So, well, you guys, you started already. Calm down, people. Calm down. Calm down. All right. So 1, 2, 3, go. It's a good thing we're not giving away something worth like, a Ferrari or something. I think there would be possibly legal issues. Look, I can also, just in case the tech wasn't working, we had to do it for, I thought, I searched Google, find me the least attractive picture of Tracey and Vance, and this is what it gave me. Sorry. Oh, wow. Very cool. And you paid for that trip with all the money you've made from that book?
Taxi member, and several of our friends who are taxi members, and we went to an abandoned haunted castle in France and got to spend a few days in Paris. It was very expensive, but very fun. And the castle was crazy. It was really creepy. And they actually wrote a song called Haunted on the castle.
Wow, cool. And it gets licensed every year right around Halloween.
Right. Mm-hmm. Nope, it's one of those dead songs that I don't think anything's been done with it. So.
Yes, the book will be at the Road Rally. And you guys will have a bookseller's table.
Oh, good.
Will the book be at the rally? Yeah, they won't. They're not allowed to come.
We're just going to ship them off.
I want to say 2 years ago, thank you for letting us sell our book there. We met a man who bought a book for his wife for her birthday, Holland, and we signed it for Helen, his wife. She read this book cover to cover within the year, started doing all the things we said in the book. We saw her a few months later at a convention. She said, that book changed my life. She's now, we just love her. We were just so proud of her. But she's gotten several deals, had, I think, 12 placements already in 1 year. We just saw her again at another convention just last month, and same thing. She just was telling everybody, I read their book and now I have all these placements, and we're just so proud of them. So shout out to Helen and Holland. Thank you.
People worry that they don't have music that's good enough. People come up with all these excuses why they shouldn't work hard to succeed. I mean, read Stephen, what's his name? Oh God, the War of Art.
Pressfield. Pressfield.
Yeah, Pressfield. Stephen Pressfield. We all will work so hard to come up with logical reasons that keep us from starting something or finishing something or whatever. Those who just get off their butts and do it, put one foot in front of the other and do it like Helen did it, lo and behold, people go, well, my music's not as good as Tracey and Vance. It very well might be. It could be better, or it could be equal to, or it might be a little less good but more appropriate. There's so many ways that it happens, but it doesn't happen for those of you who don't start. So if you were thinking about, maybe I'll go to the Road Rally next year, don't. Trust me when I tell you, this Road Rally is going to be awesome. It really, truly is. Sunday, I was doing some editing on the ballroom schedule. I'm going, damn, I wish I could go to this as a guest, not as the moderator. All right.
We're talking about people who didn't want to go to the rally unless they had their music ready to go. That is one of the reasons to go to the rally, is find out what kind of music are they looking for? What does the market need that I can do? Yeah,
and then what do you do with your music when it's done? You need to know how to mix and master, or if you're an artist, you need to know what some of the connections are. Most of our friends find all of their collaborators through Taxi. Seriously. Yeah. We've found probably 90% of our collaborators through Taxi. We got to write with a hit songwriter, and she loves Taxi, and another hit songwriter, and he loves Taxi. So they're all connected.
I want to know who they are. Okay, the winner of your book, the very fortunate winner, is Larry Receive, Rousseve. Thank you, Liz. Larry, what we need you to do is send an email to Liz, L-I-Z, at taxi.com with your most reachable phone number, presumably your cell, your home address, and $26.95, and we'll send you the book. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You get the book for free. By the good graces of Tracey and Vance, who gave me some free copies to give away, things like this. You guys have been awesome. This has been a lot of fun. I get to see you in a month. And if you're coming to LA, you mentioned that you might be in LA and drop off some books. Please give a holler. I probably won't be able to spend a lot of time or go out to lunch because I'm right in the middle of the Road Rally. It's just like... My favorite part of the Road Rally is Sunday night at 6:30 when I go, see you next year. And I go, all right, I've got about a month or two where I don't have to think about next year's Road Rally. So thank you again.
Thank you, Michael, for all you do, because you've been a big champion for songwriters, composers, artists, bands, all these years. And it is sometimes a thankless job to be a volunteer, we know, but Thank you so much. And
Um,
I know it's so important to you to see people succeed. So always tell Michael when you get a placement, because we
right.
love to hear about it.
Nobody does. Please tell us because we need them for the newsletter and we have to like really scrounge around to get people to go, oh yeah, we have one guy. It's like, I had 8,000 or 5,600 placements in the back half of 2022.
Wow.
Oh well. I mean, literally, the number was
You
so
read a
big it
book.
was unbelievable. People didn't believe it when they read it, but we verified it. It was absolutely real. Anyway, I will. Oh, next week's show. I think I made a note somewhere. Next week we are going to do. You are in the A&R hot seat. Okay, so we're going to play music, stuff that was forwarded, stuff that wasn't, and you guys get to do a little ear tuning, and which is another reason to come to the Road Rally because people love watching what happens on the pitch panels. They always say, I learned so much about my music by watching other people's mistakes that they made with their music or what worked with their music. So, yeah, the reasons to come are endless. Taxi.com/rally. And Tracey and Vance, thank you guys so much. I will see you in a month. Bye-bye. Where's that? There's that button. Bye, you guys. Bye, guys in the chat room. Thanks for watching. Keith LeBrant, ladies and gentlemen, playing us out. And here comes the fade. It's the only place you can still use a fade.
Yeah, really.
And we're going.